Guys, so this week I've brought on a little helper. This video is on about making friends. So I wanted to ask my daughter about how she makes friends so that we can find out from a different perspective, and then I'll talk to you guys on some of the notes that I've taken. Okie dokie. So Kaylee, hello, how you going? Say hello to everyone. So how do you make friends?
I make friends when I see a person and I give them a gift and I say hello.
Come on, talk up. You say hello, okay. So you interact with people that you don't know, and then what do? Do you go and play with them, or?
Yeah, I go and play with them, and then she says, do you want to be friends or he? And then I say yes.
Yes,
and
okay.
That's how I make friends.
So that's good. So there's some communication, there's some talking, and there's some fun. You guys are playing, and you said you usually go up to people who are alone. So you reach out to people who don't maybe have anyone to play with at that time. Okay. What about if the people are in big groups? Do you go up and play with them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do that too. No fear. That's excellent. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Have you got any other tips for anyone who wants to make friends?
Yeah.
Yeah?
First, if you want to make friends, you can see somebody who's alone, and then you go up. You go up and say hi, and then that's how you make friends.
Okay, so you just talk to them. That sounds really easy. All right.
And I also did the finger thing, so you know.
Oh, you were showing how they got to know each other with the fingers. Yeah, that was really good. They interacted. All right, we just want to say goodbye, and Mummy will read the rest of the notes she's got on this.
Goodbye.
Okay, thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
Okie dokie. I'll just get my notes. Alrighty, clicked in the chair. Okay, so when we think about making friends, right? It's completely different for children, isn't it? Because making friends for children is about having fun, and there's no fear attached. Like when Kaylee goes up to a person in the playground, she's not thinking about, that person's history or what their relationship is like, or, if they have anger issues or mental illness or history with addiction or homelessness or whatever. It's not the same for us adults. It's very difficult sometimes for us to make new friends. I mean, most of my friends are from primary school. I have recently made some new friends at TAFE that I was attending, and I found that it was really amazing to learn how to make friends, because I found it was quite difficult, and it made me feel like I wasn't enough, like I wasn't a good person, like I wasn't worth having friends. So I've just written down some information about what I've learned, and about, the different things I've read as well. So what are we really looking for in friendships? That's something important to ask yourself. I feel being open with this is a fantastic place to start. So not placing any expectations on, what your desired friend might look like. Some people can be quite closed on it and say, well, I want someone to be from the same background as me. Like if they're, class-wise, they might want someone who's quite fancy. And I feel like that really narrows down whether or not they're going to meet people who are really authentic and going to help them grow and see a different perspective on what they might already know. So I put it down to, it's important to look at what we want in a friend. It's also just as important to look at these behaviors and traits in ourselves. So we should be open with who we're looking for, by the way of age, culture, class, background. We should learn to listen and obviously see if they're listening to us. That's totally important for somebody to actually be interested in who we are. And we should be mindful of when we're asking them to listen as well. Sometimes they're busy or they're doing something and we're trying to get them to listen, See if they provide any substance to your life. This is something that I obviously specify in all relationships that we try and get into in our lives. Are they actually bringing anything to our lives, Are they bringing fun, just like they did when kids are making friendships, you know, they're pretty up and down. Like, well, it's not fun anymore, so I'm out. As adults, we understand that that's not necessarily truthful in every avenue of our lives. It can't always be fun, but is it always sad? That's probably not a great thing either. Is it always you're giving and not getting anything in return? Do you have something that you can learn from them? And are you open to learning? I find some people can be very critical, and they are difficult people to be friends with, because you're trying to give them information and say, look, this is what I know about this, or, you know, I'm trying to assist you. And they're like, no, I don't want any facts. And it's difficult. It's very difficult to be friends with people who are really critical and not open to hearing anything. And it is a skill to learn, to be open to accepting information, especially from someone who may have researched the subject or know more on it. I don't think that I know everything. Sometimes I have to stop myself and say, hey, you could probably learn a bit more on this before you go waffling your mouth off. But you know, I do try to be open to listening to other people as well. See how they behave when you do something silly. So, you know, do people humiliate you when, you know, you do something silly, or are you just being sensitive? It's always really interesting to look at that. Or are they just like, oh, that was funny, you know, and then they bring up something silly that they've done. It's always interesting if somebody is vulnerable with you in return. Usually if somebody wants to match that vulnerability, that's a good sign that that person is probably someone who could be a good person to be friends with. Okay, or when we have differing views, that's a really good one. I always find this is a magical one. What do they do when you say no, or when you bring up something that they really don't agree with you on? Are they respectful? They don't have to agree with you, but if you show them respect, you know, like assertive communication, and, you know, you try to connect with them and find some kind of relatability, and they're the type of person that starts abusing you and stuff like that, or just shuts you down and doesn't let you actually have an opinion, that can be quite difficult to be friends with someone like that. Okay, are we trying to please everyone? This is something that I used to do all the time. I still do it sometimes. But I would put on, you know, I would give heaps to different friendships and things like that. And then I would take heaps from others. But also, I would put on a different face for every friendship or relationship that I had. I wanted people to see the person that they wanted me to be. Because I'm very aware. I'm on, you know, an observant on what people want me to be. So that was something that I had to really get out of, because I wasn't making authentic friendships, because I wasn't being authentic. You know, I was being this small talk person. Oh yeah, I just love that too. And it was really not helping me to grow. And it was one of my biggest problems on actually making real friends, because people were going, oh, yep, cool. I'm not really getting anything from this person. There's nothing to learn from this person, because they disagree with me on everything. And, you know, the friendship ended up falling apart anyway, because I wasn't that person that I was pretending to be. But then on the other side of things, I was oversharing. You know, there's that whole, like, we can show all of our vulnerabilities and not be that, you know, that perfect person that we're putting across. And then that person thinks, oh, they're drama. I look at it kind of like the addiction recovery framework. We want to show people the person that we are right now, you know, good qualities, things we have to offer. Yes, darling, that's fine. Before we dump on them with our problems. And I mean, we definitely talk about the things that still bother us. So that's something to be mindful of. If you relate to somebody, be aware, why are you relating to them? Are you relating to them because they have a toxic background and you do too? And it's something that's currently still bothering them, which is going to trigger you and bring all that stuff up? Or are they growing and working towards changing and bettering themselves? That's the kind of person that you want to invite into your life. Okay, so be observant to others' body language, to their tone and small hints. So be respectful, because sometimes people have things to do and they really, you're not going to make good friends if you're not being aware that they have to go, I often do this. I continue to talk and people have to go, and I think, oh crap, this is something that is affecting these relationships that I'm, having in my life, these small interactions or whatnot. And we don't want that, we want to respect people's boundaries. We want to understand that maybe they have to go, or maybe it's not a convenient time to talk about certain things. Like, I can be quite impatient and be like, I want to talk about this now, but in actual fact, it's probably not the right person to talk to it about anyway. And so if I waited, then I wouldn't be oversharing with this person that I really don't know all that much and I want to get a better relationship with. People being busy, have a look at their personality. Some people don't want to talk about certain things, and whether or not you want that person in your life, sometimes we have different people in our lives for different reasons. We don't always have every single person is the same. We have massively open relationships with them. We can talk about everything. Sometimes this other person teaches us stuff, they help us with certain things, or maybe they're more proactive and they're the person that we get out and about with. There are reasons we have different people. Be mindful of that, and look at the people you have in your life and think, okay, what are they good for and what are they not good for? And does the bad outweigh the good? If it does, yeah. So the oversharing, be flexible. So organize things with these people. So if you do want to have a chat or whatever, organize something like out of the house, like, oh, let's go for coffee or something like that, especially new friends. It's better to get them out of the house, doing something. And this is something that I look at as well. What kind of friends are you looking for? Are they going to be in a certain activity, for instance? Like for me, I found it really difficult to make friends because I was looking for people who were interested in the same things. And I realized after a certain amount of time, we want to find people who have the same values as us. I mean, it's great if they have different interests, and we've got different things to talk about. We've got people who are coming from different backgrounds with different perspectives, and they're teaching us things. They're teaching us to look at life differently. But if they have the same values, then they're not going to disrespect you all the time, They're not going to be the kind of people who put you down. They're going to be the kind of people that, celebrate your achievements, those kinds of things. And you want to do that in return as well, and that is definitely something that I learned in my older years. And I made some friends at TAFE, studying community services. Well, that's a value. That's not an interest, it's a value. And that is where you will find people that think like you, and they may not necessarily be like you, but they have some values in common, and that's what you want to look for, because we're not all the same. We've probably got different personalities, and as adults, families, busy, work, there's so many things. But if you can have conversations with people who make you want to better yourself and feel supported and cared about and listened to, gosh, you got it made, That's fantastic. It's fantastic. And I've been so lucky to meet so many different kinds of people through my life who have just made me go, wow, oh my goodness. And I notice as well, this is another thing, when you feel good about yourself, you will attract. People will be drawn to you. They will be drawn to you. And not just good people, negative people too, because they want to zap you of your energy. Or sometimes they want to feel better about themselves, and they're drawn to you, which is fine, but we need to put boundaries in our in place, so that we're not bringing people into our lives that are going to draw us of our energy. We can give energy, but it's good to be mindful of how much we're giving and what we're getting in return. Does it benefit you to do these things for other people? And I don't mean benefit you in a way of money or whatever, but I mean, are you getting anything out of attending that function? Like, is it teaching you something? Are you getting connections to help with your business or whatever it is? Do you need to be there? And if you feel like it fosters, good connections in how you feel about you, then yeah, that's a need. But are you placing other things that are mandatory to your life behind that? Well, it's always good to look at your priorities. The other thing is with values, right? So we might meet new friends and they might fizzle out really quickly. I found that with someone last year. And it was that we didn't have the same values in certain areas. For instance, I didn't see time as a big thing. I probably need to work on that. I have been, but I didn't see time as a big thing, and they did, and this caused a problem. And you know, we had very similar values in other areas, but the friendship kind of fizzled out because we didn't see eye to eye on that, and I minimized it and said it's not a big deal. And they were thinking, no, it is a big deal to me. So that's something to be mindful of. Even though we might not think it's a big deal, it's a value to them. It's something that matters to them. And if we want to keep relationships, especially new people, if you meet them in adulthood, then they're probably more critical in their ideas and things like that. So that's always something to think on. I would also say reduce expectations. I mean, I meet people on the street every single day, and I walk up and I just give them a compliment. Like, I might just say, "Oh my goodness, I really like your dress," you know? And they'll go, "Oh wow, thanks so much." And I try to have open questions, not closed questions. So I try to just say, "Oh, you know, are you having a great day today?" And they'll go, "Oh yeah." And I'll go, "Oh great, what are you doing?" And they'll go, "Oh, I've just passed this assignment or something." And I'll say, "You did? That's amazing." I said, "Oh, you know, are you really proud of yourself? You must be ecstatic. What are you going to do today to make yourself feel amazing, you know, and hold on to that?" And they'll go, "Oh, yeah, thanks. I didn't even think of that. Actually, I might go have some lunch with my mom or something, you know." And so I'll get into these small conversations and I'll go, "Okay, great. See you later." And these are just weird conversations I get into on the street. And I know that those aren't making friends, but it actually does open up an opportunity to make friends. I have made some friends from these conversations. Usually at the end of them, if I find out they're really cool, I'll say, "Hey, can I add you on Facebook?" And they'll go, yeah. And I'll go, "Okay, cool. We'll talk more," you know? And that is kind of how I make connections with certain people when I meet them on the street. But I do find that opening up and talking to random people, but not kind of pressing on boundaries, but opening up and talking to random people does give you practice to be confident in yourself and express, you know, just some of that care or I guess joy or whichever it is to random people. You know, and so it fosters that community, and you don't know what kind of impact that had on that person. They might have been so happy. So I try to do that as much as I possibly can. And I feel like it has really given me a lot of practice in actually being more open and not having that fear attached to, is that person going to like me? What if that person doesn't want me to add them on Facebook? And you know what? Usually when I say something like, "Can I add you on Facebook?" they usually say yes. But if they're not overly comfortable and they don't really want to be friends with me, they really won't continue communication with me, which is fine. It's totally fine. Like, I have so many friends. I'm good. But it's the opportunity is there, and why not take it? You know, why not take it? But it's only for certain people that I do that for. Okay, so that's the other thing that I wanted to share. The end part that I wanted to share is when we are oversharing sometimes, just look at being specific with an area that might relate to them or might be some vulnerability that they can connect to. Because sometimes we do want to be a little bit deeper and share kind of more vulnerable things. So I would say, but resist kind of jumping to another topic. You know, like if you're onto something and they can relate and you're really having a great conversation, end it after that. Don't continue, because it's very easy to go on for hours and hours and hours about, you know, something traumatic and then something else and then something else, and it's in the past. You know, it's no longer affecting you physically, sometimes emotionally, yes. But it doesn't really foster connection either, because those people can't remember all of the things you've talked about. And then you'll probably feel like you were a burden, or feel ashamed or even guilty after you've overshared. And that is something that is definitely not a good thing, because then you're kind of worried about talking to them again and what they think of you and things like that. And they might be thinking, oh, that person is drama. Do you know, and these are just ideas on what they might be thinking. This might not have happened at all. I've had people kind of share a lot with me, and I've been so privileged and I guess blessed, I think, that they felt comfortable enough to share with me. But that is because I thought that they were someone who I wanted to invite in my life. You know, there's a difference. There's a difference. Like, some people, I've heard them say certain stuff and I'm like, oh, no, no. And, you know, there's certain personalities that I'm more likely to get along with. So that's me. I'm very accepting. There are a lot of people who aren't. And whether or not you want someone like that in your life is up to you. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, well, I don't want someone who's going to judge me. But at the same time, if they haven't met someone like you before with your background, all they know is the negative stigma. Give them an opportunity to not judge you. Give them an opportunity to know who you are. Give them an opportunity to learn about something different they've never experienced before. I always look at it as an opportunity to educate people on something they don't know about. Like when I talk about my mental illness, I say, this is how it affects me. You know, maybe you've heard this, but that's not everyone. You know, that's not everyone. We can always teach people a different perspective that they don't know about. So that's, I guess, a very long list of what I wanted to go into. I wanted to make this short, but I so appreciate everyone for listening. And I got some tips off my boyfriend as well and my daughter. And I read some things surrounding how to make friends. So I hope this has been helpful. Any questions? And I am here. I have another request to do probably in the next few days or next week on unhealthy attachments and and a fear of, I think it's fear of failure. So I'm going to look into that and do that video as well. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.